You don't feel lazy because you are lazy. You feel lazy because your brain has been trained to expect a level of stimulation that real life can't compete with. And most people don't even realize it's happening. Every day, without thinking about it, you're constantly feeding your brain fast, easy, high-reward inputs. You wake up and check your phone, you scroll through social media, you watch short videos, you jump between apps, you listen to music. While doing everything, there's always something playing in the background. And over time, your brain adapts to that. Not just mentally, but chemically. Because every time you scroll, every time you refresh, every time you check something new, your brain gets a small hit of dopamine. And the important part is that it's not coming from the content itself. It's coming from the anticipation of what might come next. That's why you keep scrolling, even when nothing is actually that interesting. Your brain is chasing the possibility of something better. And when you repeat that cycle over and over again, your baseline changes. What used to feel normal now feels slow. What used to feel manageable now feels boring. Things like working out, studying, reading, or even just sitting with your thoughts start to feel harder than they actually are. Not because those things became more difficult, but because your brain has been trained to expect constant stimulation. So when that stimulation isn't there, everything feels like effort. And that's where people get it wrong. They think they suddenly became undisciplined. They think they lost motivation. They think something is wrong with them. But the reality is, nothing is wrong with you. You just adapted to an environment that's designed to keep your attention at all times. And once that happens, your behavior starts to change without you even noticing it. You reach for your phone automatically. You open apps without thinking. You avoid tasks that require focus. You delay things that don't give immediate feedback. And then later you sit there feeling frustrated because you know you could be doing more. You know you have potential, but you can't seem to act on it consistently. And that gap between what you're doing and what you know you're capable of becomes uncomfortable. But here's the part that makes this even more difficult. This doesn't feel like a problem. It feels normal. Everyone around you is doing the same thing. Everyone is scrolling. Everyone is distracted. Everyone is constantly consuming something. So it doesn't register as an issue, even though it's slowly affecting how your brain works. Over time, your ability to focus decreases, your patience gets lower, and your tolerance for boredom almost disappears. And boredom is actually more important than people realize, because boredom is where thinking happens. It's where your brain processes things. It's where ideas form, where clarity comes from, where you actually understand your life instead of just reacting to it. But if every time you feel even a little bit bored, you immediately reach for your phone, you never give your brain that space. You never sit with your thoughts long enough to make sense of anything. And that's why so many people feel stuck, confused, or lost. Not because they lack intelligence or ability, but because they're constantly distracted from their own thinking. They're consuming more than they're processing. And over time, that builds up. You start to feel like you're always busy, but not actually moving forward. Like you're doing a lot, but nothing is really changing. And that's when people start blaming themselves. They think they need more discipline, more structure, more motivation. But trying to fix this with discipline alone is like trying to outwork a system that's designed to pull you in. You're fighting against something that's constantly rewarding you for doing the opposite of what you actually want to do. So instead of trying to force yourself to suddenly become more disciplined, you change the conditions that are creating the problem in the first place. You lower the amount of stimulation your brain is constantly getting. Not completely, not all at once, but gradually you create small moments where there's nothing going on, no phone, no music, no distractions, even if it's just a few minutes. And at first it's uncomfortable. Your brain will look for something to latch onto. You'll feel the urge to check something, to open something, to fill the silence. But if you sit with it, if you don't immediately escape it, something starts to shift. Your brain begins to slow down, your baseline starts to reset, and things that once felt boring don't feel as bad anymore. Tasks that required a lot of effort start to feel more manageable. Your ability to focus improves, not because you forced it, but because you removed the constant noise that was making it harder. And this doesn't require a complete lifestyle change. It doesn't require you to quit everything or become hyper-disciplined overnight. It just requires awareness and small adjustments. Maybe you don't check your phone first thing in the morning. Maybe you put it in another room when you're trying to focus. Maybe you go for a walk without anything playing in your ears. Maybe you give yourself time to think without immediately reaching for distraction. Those small changes add up, because what you're really doing is retraining your brain to operate without constant stimulation. And once that happens, everything else starts to improve. You don't feel as overwhelmed. You don't feel as stuck. You don't need as much effort just to get started. And slowly you start realizing something. You were never lazy. You were just overstimulated. And once you fix that, discipline becomes easier, focus becomes natural, and the things you've been putting off start to feel a lot more possible.